Hello and welcome to Europhoria, the podcast all about the great glam and garish from Eurovision past. My name is Roland Bodnam, and as ever, I am joined by my co-host who, if she doesn't get a little bit judgy, it'll be more surprising than Austria finishing third in the Eurovision Song Contest. It's Isobel Chillman. Hi, Isobel. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm still getting my voice back from Saturday. You can hear it's still a bit croaky. But it's come back more so than it was on Sunday, where it was non-existent.
So this is a 3-day hangover, effectively, from Eurovision, which is what it should be, really.
Oh, absolutely. I used up every ounce of energy I had, and then some other people's energy as well. On Saturday evening, so I am still definitely, my whole body is in recovery. I have I'm still catching up on sleep. I'm still getting my voice back. My ankles are still healing from the wounds that I have, like actual wounds from the boots that I wore on Saturday night. These amazing multicolored glittery boots that I didn't realize at the time that they were tearing my ankles to shreds. So I have huge scabs on both my ankles now. Which if anyone follows me on Instagram, you will be able to see videos of that. If you don't, my Instagram is at IKHC_. I've made a little highlights video of all of the best boomerangs videos and clips and photos and stuff of what happened on Saturday night.
It really looked very, very special. You did a hell of a lot of stuff, and I think my favourite might be the choreographed lip sync that you and Portia Fries did to the interval song from Eurovision 2015. Was that 2016? 2015.
2016. It was 2 years ago.
Yeah. Well, it looked fantastic. Meanwhile, I was in Philadelphia, but I was able to sneak the first hour in before the wedding. Everyone was getting ready in the Airbnb, and I was on my own in the living room, really enjoying Eurovision, and got to witness live. Well, we'll go into what we got to witness live during the next bit. But before we get into that, do you have something to drink, Isobel?
I do. I've actually already started it. I have a wonderful. I'm going to Sicily on Saturday.
Oh, bloody hell. Look at you.
I've already got into the Italian spirits. I'm having let me read this out from, let me see what it's called. So I already have poured myself a glass of Montepulciano d'Abruzzo.
Sounds lovely.
It's a lovely red wine. I'm really enjoying it.
I'm currently, because we're doing this on a Monday and I'm doing it from work, I haven't had a chance to get outside. Tuesday, bloody hell. And I'm currently at work, and there is a massive storm outside happening right now. So I decided that I wouldn't brave the storm to go and get a can of beer or a bottle of wine. So I'm sadly doing this episode stone cold sober. But there you go, Isobel, you can drink for me.
Okay, well, it's very late here, so I'm only going to have one glass of red wine because as Roland just said, it is Tuesday, and I have work to do tomorrow.
That's fair.
And it's already 11:15, so I need to be vaguely well behaved. But this is a really delicious bottle of wine, really nice.
Very
Tesco's
good.
finest.
Oh, well done, Tesco. As it's late, let's move straight on to
Eurovision news.
Do you have any news, mate?
Don't know, mate. Don't know if anything big's happened. Oh my God! Of course, fucking Eurovision happened.
Eurovision happened.
The big
Saturday. News.
Oh,
the big
Christ.
news, of course. If you didn't know already, why listen to this podcast? Israel came out as victor. Netta with Toy. She was favourite from a long, long time. We called it a while ago. Beat out Fuego to the number one spot. Isobel, are you happy with the result?
Yeah, definitely. I am. Like you said, we said ages ago, like basically as soon as we heard Toy, we said then, oh, well, that's one. That's definitely one Eurovision, hasn't it? And then I feel like I got convinced otherwise by third parties involved in this. I was like, oh, maybe they won't win. Maybe it's going to be Fuego. Maybe it won't even be Fuego. There's loads of other ones that might swoop in and get this. Turns out it was between Netta and Eleni, so it was between Toy and Fuego. But
Yep.
actually, the ones that might swoop in and get this, i.e. Ireland and France, nope,
No.
absolutely nowhere
No.
near when it came around
No.
to it on Saturday. And ones that were not even discussed as potentials, i.e. Austria and Germany. The
Yeah,
German
what
song,
happened with
which was
Germany?
boring as hell. Like, where did that come from? Why did so many people start voting for that one? It was a complete... On Saturday night, honestly, like, so we were, for anyone who doesn't know, on Saturday night, I hosted a Eurovision night at the Amersham Arms in New Cross in South London. There were about 100 people there. They were all beautiful and wonderful and amazing. And if any of them are listening to this, my God, you were great. There were some real issues with the internet to start off with, and people powered through and really got on side with the whole thing.
Yes.
But we spent the entire evening at the voting section. Every time Germany got any votes, with all of us going,
Like,
what was Germany? Which one was Germany? What? Are you mental? Why did that one get votes? And everyone got very off. No one was impressed. Like when Austria first performed, we were all on side. He's a very hunky man. We were into it. But by the fourth or fifth time they got a lot of votes, the crowd had turned. They were not happy about the hunky man getting votes anymore.
It was very, very, very strange. And it was probably the strangest week leading up in terms of the odds. Like you had Ireland suddenly shooting up the board. You had Germany shooting up the board and actually that made a bit more sense. But nothing for Austria, and Austria did really, really well. In terms of the bookies numbers, it was really unpredictable. It was a really bizarre week, and there seemed to be a lot of hype around acts that
didn't do anything on the evening.
Yeah.
Like
nothing,
there was no big, France were really hyped for not just by the wonderful Stephen, who we spoke to from the Racing Post, but by the wonderful Matt Baker, not of Blue Peter but of ESA Extra. Also talked about France. Everyone, a lot of people I spoke to were really hyping up France. When you looked online, people were really going crazy for it. People who were in the stadium during the week, during rehearsals, kept saying, "Oh my God, the crowd, they're going crazy for France. It's insane." No.
Right, yeah, one of my favorite surprise votes of the evening, although it shouldn't be because I really enjoyed it and gave it a lot of love in the pre-Eurovision episode, was the fact that Sweden did very, very well with the juries, or as well as should be expected, and got lots of votes. And they were the second to last in terms of the public vote.
Yeah.
It was it was a real surprise. Benjamin Ingrosso has taken it in his stride. He has on his Instagram put a picture from his postcard. He was doing a selfie with with 3 people having a picnic behind him, and he put that with a caption, "Me taking a selfie with all of my people who voted for me." Bless him.
Oh, Benjamin.
You got to laugh.
It was bizarre, but that's why I'm loving the voting system nowadays, because you never know what's going to come through. You just don't know. It was so much fun though. As I mentioned on Saturday, the crowd that we had there were a couple of Estonian girls who were there who were an absolute hoot. I loved them to pieces. We had a whole team supporting Cyprus. We had some Irish fans, obviously loads of UK fans. We had some Australians, some Swedes. We had a real mixed bag, so it was good to be able to have a lot of room supporting different acts, and also give us gossip about those acts as well from their own countries, in terms of most of the time slagging them off. The Swedes were I think not a big fan of Benjamin Ingrosso, but it was great, and everyone got really on board with the tagline as well. So early on, when we were having some internet connectivity problems, we were joking about the tagline this year of "All aboard!" And from that point on, every time each song before they started, and it shows what their postcard and the little intro bit, and then shows the name on the screen, it would come up with "All aboard" at the bottom, and without us even trying to do it, most of the audience would go "All aboard!" every time. It was adorable.
Oh, it sounds like a very, very lovely crowd, very good group of people. Well done, you guys.
Thanks so much. It was amazing. Yeah, it was really great fun.
All right. Well, I kind of think that's our roundup. I mean, there's so much roundup and coverage of the event, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more later on in other episodes. But that's our initial take, and we're going to move on because we have a whole bunch of letters in our letter bag, our digital e-letters. So I'm going to start with an email from Steinen with the subject line, RSVP, please, man oh man. It begins, hello Isobel and Roland, my name is Steinen and I come from the island between two continents, Iceland. I just discovered your podcast through my friend Siggy, who emailed us a couple of weeks ago.
Amazing! We have friends who are both emailing now. This is great. They can chat to each other through the podcast.
So now you have at least 2 fans from the land of ice and fire. Sorry, that was cringy. It wasn't cringy. That was great.
No, it was brilliant.
First of all, I have to say you guys are awesome.
Yeah, we are!
Isobel, like I said in my tweet that you so generously retweeted the other day, I do believe that we are soulmates. I myself am Judgy Wudgy as well, a proud Judgy Wudgy. Go Judgy Wudgies, that should be a hashtag.
Okay, we're taking that now, Steinen. Hashtag go Judgy Wudgies.
I love your cynicism and irony, and it was absolutely delightful listening to you politely telling people to fuck off. Love it.
Who did I politely tell to fuck off?
I mean, it happens sometimes. We just don't know.
Politely telling to fuck off. Yeah, that's me. I think that's me all over. Yeah. I'm polite, but I will tell you to fuck off.
Steinen says, Roland, I don't care what Isobel says. I love your enthusiasm for the political history related to Eurovision. As in addition to being a huge Eurovision nerd, I'm a huge history nerd. It's actually kind of funny that when I started listening to you guys, I had just finished writing a paper in my political science class about how the political landscape of Europe is reflected in Eurovision.
Amazing. Send it. Yeah. Steinen, send it. I want to read that.
Oh my God, yeah, please do.
I'll read it. I would legit. I'm like, Steinen, if you hear this, well, you will hear this before I leave. Yeah. I leave for Sicily on Saturday to go on holiday for a week. If you send that, that is my holiday reading.
Absolutely. Steinen goes on to say, you guys are amazing and have literally kept me sane during finals. However, if I fail in my finals, I'm going to blame you because I spent too much time listening to you and not enough on my studies. Sorry.
Blame Roland, not me.
Now, Steinen actually has a little extra update about one Sylvia Knight, believe it or not. We thought she was gone forever, but Steinen says 2 years ago, the Icelandic national final was celebrating its 30th anniversary, where the opening act was a medley of most of the former Icelandic representatives from Eurovision. Sylvia Knight was apparently contacted regarding performing a part of her song in that medley. She said she would only take part in it if she would be allowed to perform wearing a fat suit sitting in a wheelchair, because she believed that would be the state of Sylvia at that point. The Icelandic national broadcaster politely declined that, and Sylvia Knight was not part of the medley.
Oh, Sylvia.
Sylvia. Best regards, Steinen from Iceland.
Amazing.
Thanks, Steinen. Oh, there's one more PS, another compliment for both of us. It says, PS, Isobel, I love your laugh. Roland, your voice is sexy. Ooh.
No, it's not. Don't tell him that.
Well, now I know. Thank you so much. Well,
I love that. Steinen, you're my favourite.
Steinen, you're my favourite. We're going to move on because we still have more. This is an email from Kevin, and it begins, Dear Jon Ola and Valentina. I'm pretty sure he's referring to you as Jon Ola in that one there.
Yeah, you better be.
Greetings from Vermont, which the last time I checked is in North America. It's 10 p.m. here and well past my bedtime. My husband is not home, so I'm taking advantage of his absence by getting a little bit drunk on port while going down a YouTube Eurovision black hole.
Oh my God, currently Kevin, wait, no, you have to stop there, Roland.
Okay.
That sounds like my dream evening. Kevin, can I come over and we do this together? You're drinking port. Port is my favourite drink. Yeah. And you're going down a YouTube Eurovision hole. Yeah. This is incredible. Wow. Your husband is a very lucky man. Very lucky.
So he said he's currently watching the 2015 contest opening, and every time he watches it, he tears up a little. Bless. He says, anyway, I've never emailed before. I only discovered the podcast recently, and I've been binge listening. One of the best ways to listen to us. And it's been a blast. Thank you for bringing a little hilarity to my morning commute. That said, I do have a bone to pick, just a little one, mind you.
No.
And to be fair, I don't remember this anyway, but in one episode of the podcast, one of you, I'm going to assume this was Isobel, was quite dismissive of Romania's 2014 entry. I don't even remember, to be honest.
What was Romania's 2014 entry?
Kevin says, which he thinks is a little harsh, as it's actually one of his favourites. And he says, what's not to love about an entry that contains a hologram, a circular piano, not even attempting to convincingly play that circular piano, awkward hug singing, budget pyrotechnics, Eastern European earnestness, more fake piano playing, a prolonged high note, and best of all, hand choreography. So I to be honest, I don't remember the song and I don't remember us dissing it, but it sounds pretty good when you describe it like that.
Oh, I've just Googled. So it's Paula Selling and Ovi with Miracle, right?
Oh.
Which I can't. I mean, if it was me, then I did that, then I'm sorry. But also I will say, just to back either one of us up, whoever dissed it, the same duo, so Paula Selling and Ovi, another one of their songs, Playing with Fire, is one of my all-time favourite songs.
Oh, well, there you go.
So it's not that I'm like, if it was me, and it probably was, that was slagging it off, I do not hate them as a duo. Playing with Fire was literally on our Eurovision playlist on Saturday. I had it played at the night because I freaking love it. It's so great.
Kevin then says, okay, this email is far too long, but if you have any pity, could you at least give a little shout out to my Eurovision club? I'm a French teacher at a school called Crossroads Academy here in New Hampshire, and I have to organise a club each semester. So this semester, I'm running a Eurovision club.
Oh my God.
Every week I tell a story, sound familiar, and then play some of my favourite entries from the contest. It's super fun and the kids are really into it. Could you say a quick hello? And if either of you have a favourite Eurovision entry that I must play for my students, let me know. So this is a hello to the Crossroads Academy Eurovision Club.
Hi,
do you want to say hello?
Oh no, but
Hi.
I swear, Kevin, I swear on this. You can't let them hear it.
Well,
you have to bleep out all my bad words. Hi, Academy, though. I don't know which ones did they play. Play all of them. Playing with Fire. It's so good. Just keep playing them all. Just go through from the beginning and just play them all. Play the Rhythm Inside by Loic.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That song's so good. Play them Je t'adore. That's a great one.
Well, time
Kevin,
for bed.
I'll just send you my Europhoria playlist.
Yeah, just send
type
the
in
playlist.
Europhoria on
Spotify,
and you will find it's a public playlist and it's absolutely slamming.
Okay. Well, time for bed. I hope you're having a jolly good week so far. Thanks again for the podcast. Over and out, Kevin. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks so much, Kevin. That's so exciting.
We have more. This is a shorter one. Okay. This is a bumper episode, if you hadn't heard.
You know how I said I was only going to have one glass of wine?
Uh-oh.
Already on my third.
This is an email which was followed quite soon after a tweet. And I think this has happened before from this particular emailer, who then later apologised via Twitter for emailing us whilst drunk, which we absolutely think is a requirement. No, this time it's Chance. Our good friend Chance from Brooklyn.
I think that is. I thought it was Jaime last time he emailed us.
Oh, it might be.
Oh, everyone just gets drunk, emails us, and then tweets an apology. Oh shit! I'm so sorry I did that.
Don't apologise.
Back.
Chance from Brooklyn says, this extra week off was too much. I was lost without you two beautiful souls. I'm glad you guys are doing these tribute episodes for Liz and Katie, two true legends of Eurovision, and they deserve it. But we have to talk about 2018. This is obviously sent before, and we didn't read them through last time because it was already an hour and a half long. But Chance says, if anything other than Israel wins, I'll be devastated.
Well, at least Chance isn't devastated.
At least Chance isn't devastated. I'm especially worried that Alexander Rybak will repeat since the ESC media seems insistent on praising his return, even though the song is clearly meant for Junior Eurovision. That's very, very true.
Yeah, that's what we said. It would win. If they gave it to a child, it would win Junior Eurovision.
Yes. Personal shame moment for Chance. I love San Marino this year. There we go.
You're the only one.
Yeah. Isobel, make sure everyone tips your wonderful drag queen host portion of fries. I'm making my best gay guess on that spelling, and Chance, you got that absolutely right. You did very well on that. And Roland, continue your day drinking practice. We're only days away from your first national final as a filthy foreigner. Yeah. Love you both. And that's how you write an email. Chance from Brooklyn. Thanks, Chance.
Great sign off. Good work, Chance. Love it.
Well, there we go. That is all our emails. Thank you so much for emailing us. We should have said at the start of this episode, this is going to be the last one before we take a little bit of a break because, as everything's calming down after Eurovision itself, we also need to have a little calming down moment ourselves. But feel free to email us in the gap so that when we come back, we have a lot to come back to. You can email us at europhoriapodcast@gmail.com.
Or you can tweet us at EurophoriaCast. Or we're on Instagram. I don't know, I've never said our Instagrams before.
Well, you mean our personal ones? Well, we did have our podcast one for a while.
Yeah, that died a death because I fucking hated updating it. But personal ones are still fun. Mine's at IKHC_.
I don't know what my one is. I think if you just search my name, Roland Boddenham, it will come up. There's not many of us in the world.
He does nice pictures of New York.
Oh, yeah, lots of skylines and lots of sometimes food. It's lovely. Okay, shall we move on to the last story of this season, season 3? And I think it's a good one to go out on. Of course, as earlier mentioned in one of the emails, we are doing our tribute episodes. Last episode, Isobel, you told us all about the wonderful life of Liz Assia and the first ever Eurovision Song Contest. Today, I am going to tell you all about Eurovision royalty Katie Boyle.
Amazing.
29th of May, 1926. Born Caterina Irene Elena Maria Imperiale di Francavia.
What?
That's her name.
What? I thought I had a long name.
Yep. To her father, who was an Italian aristocrat named the Marquis Demetrio Imperiale di Francavia, and her mother, a Yorkshire woman named Dorothy Ramsden.
Yes, bloody Yorkshire's in there. Dorothy Ramsden. That is the most Yorkshire name you could ask for as well. Dorothy Ramsden.
It's
my
me,
God.
Dorothy Ramsden.
That's incredible. This is already the best story we've ever had. An Italian Marquis. Is that how you say it?
I don't know. I think so. Marquis. I mean, it's either Marquis or Marquis. I think
like it's Italian, like royalty, in a way, and just Dorothy Ramsden from Yorkshire.
It's me, Dorothy Ramsden. Yeah,
it's me. Oh my God.
I don't know. I haven't gone back into the story of how Dot Ramsden met the Marquis Demetrio Imperiale di Francavia.
That is my story to tell now.
Okay,
and my story to star in and film.
It's the prequel. Caterina, as she was then known, her younger years were spent in the idyllic Tuscan hills just outside of Florence, Italy. Sadly, in stark contrast to the beauty of the nature around her, her youth was turbulent and even tragic. Before she was even 5 years old, she was socialising with other young princesses, duchesses, and Marquesas. I don't know. We're not going to... We won't do well. And she explained in her autobiography that her cosmopolitan background gave her Italian volatility, Russian romanticism, and a strong streak of Yorkshire stock.
I feel as though you're talking about me. You're telling the story of who I should be.
Yeah, you've got the Italian. You're building the Italian side. You've got the Yorkshire stock. I don't know where you get the Russian romanticism from, but it's somewhere.
I can find it. I'll find it. I'll pay for it. if that's what it takes.
Okay, well, I hope this next bit isn't true to you, because my next paragraph begins with the line, her father was a fascist.
Oh, no, the reference really nice. He's VV liberal. VV liberal,
VV
guys.
liberal, yeah.
VV liberal reverend.
Different.
He's the best
so
one.
her father's fascism led to many, many arguments between Katie's parents. And eventually, 5 years after Katarina's birth, her parents did get divorced. Dorothy, Katarina's mother, fled back to the UK, leaving sole custody of Katie to her father.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Oh.
In an interview Katarina gave, or Katie then, in 1995, she described her father by saying, he was a total schizoid. He would charm the birds off the trees, and in public he behaved marvellously, but he wasn't the person you'd take home with you. One minute he would behave effusively, and then he would do or say something terrible. Clearly it was not a happy upbringing, and even darker times were ahead for Katie.
I've dated a few guys like that.
Well, it's.
Like,
I mean,
I feel like me and Katie are spirit animals right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like that description is. I mean, it's just sociopath, isn't it? Basically, it's being one thing on the outside and then being a complete fucker on the backside in private. But a very, very well described. Katie herself actually clearly had quite the rebellious streak, as she was expelled from 4 out of the 6 private schools which she was made to attend.
Oh, she's a badass.
Yes. It was clear, however, that the political climate around Katie was changing, however, and this became even clearer to her when she was forced to wear an all-black outfit, which was a fascist symbol in Italy at the time, and sing fascist songs at her school in Florence. This was, of course, in the lead-up to World War II, so that makes sense. As war broke out, the Italian Fascist Party took control of the country. Katie's father appeared to almost have a bit of a change of heart with his beliefs, and actually began working to save and secretly house Italian Jews who would otherwise have been sent to German death camps. Apparently fearful for his daughter's safety too, he refused to let Katie leave the house, keeping her locked up for several months.
Oh, Christ.
I still, despite his change of hearts, I still don't really appreciate his early fascism. I kind of feel like that's similar to the Trump regretting voters and the Brexit regretting voters now, right? It's like, oh, when it happens, it's like, oh, I didn't mean it. I was just being, but at least he did something, and that's something. He acted on it. So anyway, it would take more than her father attempting to keep her locked in to stop Katie from finding trouble, though. And that she did when she met and fell in love with a secret police officer who was already married. She explains that this man was truly the first man to ever show her kindness. And I guess that kind of stems from her father being horrible to her. The first man that shows her kindness, she falls in love with.
And again, not me, but no. I have many friends with similar daddy issues who are now dating much older men.
Yes, interesting, that one. Anyway, as the war raged on, the Allies began pushing into Italy, and the country was about to flip sides. As this was taking place, Katie's love affair was ended when her lover was executed by the Italian rebels.
Oh my God.
Her lover was a bad guy, by the way. Secret police was bad.
I was excited for them. No.
Well, well, that's what I mean. Confusing times. I think she just fell in love with a man that showed her kindness, regardless of who he was. Katie was always a pretty liberal person, by the way, just so we know.
Okay, good. This isn't going to be like an honorary, lovely episode that ends with. And turns out Katie Boyle was a Nazi sympathiser, and none of us should ever have liked her.
No. But it was just it was a very confusing time. It was at war, and she had been, basically abused for her whole childhood. So yeah. So Katie's father was furious that she had, in his eyes, been so reckless and unscrupulous as to have this love affair with this man. So he committed Katie to a psychiatric hospital where she remained for 9 months.
What the fuck is this story?
I know. I mean, it's not as light-hearted as you were quite expecting, is it?
Jesus Christ. We're only about 10 minutes in, and I've already heard more things that I never... Like, I've no understanding of where this is going to go now.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck was her life?
Reflecting on this, Katie explained that she blamed herself at the time. She said, "When my father locked me away, I thought it must have been because I'd been very naughty. It was only when I grew up that I realised that everything he taught me about life was wrong." So clearly there.
How old was she when she was put in a psychiatric ward then?
I'm guessing she was born in 1926. The war, she was like maybe 20s, mid-20s.
Fucking
hell. After the 9 months being incarcerated in a psychiatric hospital, Katie's mother, the lovely Dot, reappeared and removed Katie from the psychiatric hospital to take her back to England. Basically rescued Katie from the confines of the psychiatric hospital. Good for Dot, right? Came to her rescue.
Dot, I mean, you should have turned up a bit earlier, love. Probably it was left her there, but
it was the war. I mean, she couldn't really.
She got back to the UK.
Yeah, but she travelled back to the UK before the war, and then the war happened.
Why did she take her then? I'm going to question this.
No, she should have taken her. I guess she thought, like, because she was married to the. She knew who her husband was. I was going to say leaving her in the wealth of Italy. I don't know. I'm not trying to make excuses. But, it is clearly a difficult decision to make.
Difficult times. Troubling times. Fully understand.
Troubling times.
Good for Dot. She's brought her back. Did you take her to Yorkshire? Please say she took her to
England. On arrival to England, Katie quickly rediscovered herself and her socialite side. After being spotted trying on a hat by famed author Beverly Nichols, he asked her to model for the illustration for his Women's Own column, which was that week devoted to how a woman chooses a hat.
What? How does a woman choose a hat?
This guy, Beverly Nichols, writes a column in Women's Own about how a woman chooses a hat.
If anyone would like to tell me how a woman chooses a hat, please email us, euphoriapodcast@gmail.com, because I have absolutely no idea. I own one hat.
Yeah.
Really?
How did you choose
I've
it?
got like a woolly... Well, because I burnt my head last summer.
Oh, mate.
And then it was sunny the next day, so I was like, well, I'm going to have to buy a hat.
Well, maybe
to cover my head.
Maybe that's what Beverly wrote.
First hat.
Maybe that's what Beverly wrote. We just don't know.
Just find the first hat that fits on your head and wear it.
Just get a hat, but exchange money for it, and then you have the hat. Anyway.
I really like that as a how to buy a hat. You find a hat. You give him some money. You bought a hat. Now put it on your head.
Beverly wasn't the most exciting author of his time, but there you go. Useful information. Anyway, Katie was moving fast, and within a year of her escape from the asylum, she was married to one Richard Boyle, a British aristocrat who would later become Earl of Shannon.
Oh,
very good.
Where's Shannon?
I don't know. Sounds great though, Earl of Shannon. She soon became pregnant, but tragedy struck once more as she suffered a miscarriage after falling down a set of stairs.
Oh, no.
She later admitted, though, that in a strange way, losing the baby was in fact a relief for her. She said that she had never really wanted babies, but as a staunch Catholic, she was unable to even consider an illegal abortion.
Fucking hell.
I know, right?
I mean, I'm going to say two things. I mean, this is the most brilliantly horrifying but wonderful story I've ever heard. Yeah. And secondly, if you're a woman and you don't want to have a baby, that's fine. For any women listening who don't want to have a kid, that is fine. I'm 29 years old. I'm turning 30 this year. I've never wanted kids. I still don't want a kid. I still get judged for it on a regular basis. Luckily, I do have very liberal. I combined the words liberal and loving. Liberal and loving parents who do not mind what I do. But I know so many women who get judged for it massively. And I know loads of women who are from religious backgrounds who that would, same thing, would not be the case. And you look at places like in Ireland, women are still having to come over to England to get abortions. They are still having really dangerous kind of backroom abortions that are going on. That's just horrifying that you would be that anyone should have to be relieved that they've had a miscarriage, because a miscarriage is not a pleasant experience either.
Absolutely, and it's a shocking thing to be, like you say, it's a shocking thing to for someone to say that they were relieved that they fell down the stairs and suffered a miscarriage. But that just shows, the pressure.
Is she not
and
just the most depressed person in the world after the life she's had already?
Well, we'll find out how she handled it. Katie remained married to Richard for 8 years. However, during that time, the pair were actually dogged by rumour and speculation in the press that Katie had been having an affair with the one and only Duke of Edinburgh, aka the Queen's husband, Prince Philip.
No.
One story even claimed that Prince Philip.
What is this story?
This is all true. This is like all the. This bit isn't necessarily true. This is like what the press are saying. One story even claimed that Prince Philip had once had to flee through the servants' entrance of her home as her husband had arrived home early. Can you imagine that? Prince Philip legging it out of.
This is just the most bizarre story I've ever heard.
I will say Katie has always vehemently denied these accusations. She said it's pure fabrication. You just have to expect that people will tell complete lies about you. During this time, Katie's star was very much on the rise, and she began to regularly appear on the public's screens and stages.
Doing what?
Oh, so she was an actor. She was doing acting. Sorry, I've missed that bit out. She moved from like modelling, and she moved into acting and doing like appearances on like quiz shows. She hosted for a very short while a BBC quiz show based around medicine and doctors stuff and hospital stuff. There was a
quiz show about medicine.
Yeah, about medicine and surgery. It didn't last very long, but she was host of it. It was called something. I can't remember what it was called, but it was... let me see if it's on her Wikipedia. I'll just get it right now. But
there was a bizarre... When the last time I was over in LA, because I'm cool. I've got friends in LA that I go to.
Oh, yeah.
We stayed in one night and... we're watching this a TV channel that just shows really old quiz shows on it. Yeah. And we kept watching this one. I can't remember what it was called now, but it was from maybe the 60s. And it would have celebrities, not in the sense of celebrities nowadays, but like swanky. They came dressed like they were about to go to the BAFTAs.
Yeah.
Like really, all of them with very cut glass voices, even if they were American. And they would have to ask people questions and work out who they were and why they were well known or why they'd be in the news kind of thing. And they'd get these celebs on. There'd be like 3 or 4 each game. And one time we were watching it. We'd watched a lot of the episodes of this. The weather was not great in LA.
Yeah.
And also, I'm perfectly allowed to say this because weed is legal in LA, but you just sit and smoke weed and then watch old quiz shows.
Perfect.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
And one of them, they were like, and we're just like, well, welcome the next person, the next celebrity host, Mr. Ronnie Reagan. And it was just Ronald Reagan.
Whoa, my God. What a guest.
What the hell? This is
a pretty good guest.
This is really weird.
Isabel, I'm so glad I did look up this because it's one of the best concepts I think I've ever heard. So it's perfect. In 1968, this is from Wikipedia, she appeared alongside comedian Lance Percival.
Great name.
Lance, in the fledgling Thames Television panel quiz game of medical knowledge, and the show was called Lance That Boyle.
No, it was not.
It absolutely was, which is so good.
Oh
Sadly, the
Best
show
pun name ever.
Sadly, the show was cancelled after only 3 episodes. But
bring it back. Get Lance from
Lance.
NSYNC.
Yeah.
And who's called Boyle?
There'll be Susan Boyle.
Lance from NSYNC and Susan Boyle. Bring back Lance That Boyle.
Lance That Boyle. So good.
It could be
a
musical,
podcast.
medical hybrid.
It could be a podcast, maybe. Maybe it'll find a place on a podcast.
That's genius.
It's
That's
so
fucking
good.
genius.
It was so good. So she was appearing on screens and stages. It was at this time that Katie was remarried, this time to a stockbroker named Greville Bayliss. All of these names are brilliant. I love all of the names. Greville, yeah, Greville. Not Neville, but Greville.
Greville?
Greville.
That ain't a name.
Greville.
Greville?
Greville.
I bet if you did that thing where every year when they release like the most popular baby names, if you searched on that Greville to see how no babies have been called Greville since that one Greville was named Greville.
It's due a comeback, I reckon. Greville.
Fuck no.
A short time after the marriage, this pair had a furious row which led to Katie briefly leaving Greville. Once more, rumours of adultery followed Katie, and the result of these rumour and speculation in the press led to her sacking from the BBC. Great.
Oh.
Yeah. She's a woman who it's rumoured she's had an affair. She's fired.
Oh.
So more fucking
patriarchy.
Fucking patriarchy, I tell you what. After a short time, Katie decided to give it another shot with Greville. How could you not with a name like that? Fortunately, at the same time, appearances on several panel shows for ITV raised her profile once more, and she began moving from one job to another, raising her profile. So, when, a few years later, London was set to host the Eurovision Song Contest, Katie, with the fact that she could speak 3 or 4 fluent languages at the time, was the obvious choice to host. And on the 29th of March 1960, Katie Boyle stepped on the stage and said the following words.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the BBC, I'd like to welcome you all to the 5th annual Eurovision Song Contest, as well as greeting you all here in the Royal Festival Hall and, of course, televiewers everywhere in the United Kingdom. I would also like to welcome practically everybody in Western Europe, because tonight this program is being televised to no less than 14 countries.
There we go.
I would also like to... I like the bit where she goes, I would also like to welcome practically everybody from Western Europe.
At the time, it was. Anyone with a TV.
That's great. Practically
it is, isn't it?
Everybody is watching this.
She's lovely. She's beautiful. She's elegant, as they say in her description. And the fact that she could do four languages as well. Good for her, right?
Good for her. I can almost do 2.
You can almost do 2. You're working your way to be able to host.
Parlo Italiano.
Katie's reception for that first evening was overwhelmingly positive. The critics claimed she was calm and collected, especially when the Italian live feed cut out halfway through giving points. Her multilinguistics were put to good use, and she did her country proud. It makes sense then that when the UK was set to host the Eurovision Song Contest once more, that she should be the contest hosts and MC. Yes, in 1960, 1963, 1968 and 1974, Katie Boyle was front and centre, leading Europe on its merry way through pop music. One of my favourite anecdotes of this time comes from the last time she hosted, when, with just 5 minutes to go before the show started, the show director realised that due to the strong studio lights, the whole of Europe would be able to see Katie's underwear through her light peach dress.
Oh no!
So the decision was made that Katie would whip off her underwear in the wings and present the entirety of Eurovision 1970 wearing no underwear whatsoever under the dress.
This is the best story of all time. Oh my God.
She did the whole of it in Going Commando. It's brilliant.
Fucking good for her. What a trooper.
I know,
you can see the
right?
knickers. Don't worry, just whip them off, mate.
Whip
That's
them
the
off.
Yorkshire side of her coming out. That's the Yorkshire girl in
absolutely
it.
is.
Oh, I'll just take my knickers off. Be all right.
Completely. After her final stint as Eurovision host, Katie stepped back from the stage and began her role as an agony aunt for a newspaper which would stretch from 1970 to 1988. So 18 years being an agony aunt.
You must get fed up listening to people moaning.
I know, you must do. Sadly, in 1973, the strains of her marriage to Greville were showing once more, and she decided to call it quits.
As we were all aware quite early on, never marry a man named Greville.
If you do ever meet a man named Greville in a bar, run.
Bad news. Bad news.
Of course, as is the way with Katie, once more accusations of illicit affairs followed her through the door. The scandal this time drove Katie close to suicide. She explained in her book, I was staying on the 18th floor of the St. George's Hotel in London. I had my little Yorkie with me, and I was so miserable, but I couldn't decide how best to kill myself. I thought about jumping, but that would have left my Yorkie all alone. Then I thought about poisoning myself and my dog, but I didn't have the courage. And besides, I was still curious about what life had in store for me.
Oh, Katie.
Oh, my God. You don't want to leave her Yorkie all alone.
Heartbreaking story.
Yeah. In 1976, Katie met acclaimed theatre producer Sir Peter Saunders. They fell in love and were married within 3 months.
Oof.
When you know, you know. You know?
You know.
You know.
When you know, you know. You know.
You know. And actually, the pair, despite being the fairly fast-paced falling in love, the pair remained happily married until Peter passed away in the early 2000s. So Katie finally found happiness with her husband Peter Saunders.
Well, I'm glad. That's a good name, good normal name.
Yes, yeah, that's it. Peter, not Greville. Katie still had close ties to Eurovision later in life, going to fan club conventions and appearing at the 1998 Eurovision Song Contest, which was in Birmingham at the time. She also appeared on a special Eurovision-themed episode of The Weakest Link, where she made history by becoming the first person to vote themselves out of the show.
Katie.
Sadly, as we know, Katie passed away peacefully just a short time ago on the 20th of March 2018. But as with any Eurovision legend, we all know that she lives on in the history of Eurovision and in all of our hearts. Katie Boyle.
What a story. Oh my God. That's what a great story to end this series on. That's insane. What a life to lead.
Absolutely incredible.
No wonder she was fucking suicidal at bits of it. What
Jesus
a fucking
Christ.
horror show for a lot of it.
I know.
I'm glad she did live like the last good chunk of her life.
Yeah.
Very happily.
And she did. I mean, she had, she was glamorous and she had a glamorous life and, clearly lived the high life between the rough bits. But just so many times where something absolutely bloody awful happened to her and she stood up, fought through it. And actually, so I haven't read her book, but I have read quotes from her book through various articles or whatever. But she seems really frank about all of these things that happened and her depression and suicidal thoughts and all those things. So good for her for opening up about it as well.
Yeah, man, definitely.
It's quite a hard thing to do.
What an absolute trooper!
Complete.
God, I still can't get over the what was it called again? Lance.
Boil that Lance. No, Lance that Boyle. Lance that Boyle. It's so good. It's like, how did that not continue just for the name alone? That's complete genius.
That's absolutely genius.
Now, do you think they came up with they had a medical quiz show and they wanted to name it and then they realised Lance that Boyle? Or do you think they put the two together, came up with Lance that Boyle and decided and went, right, well, we have to do a medical quiz show now?
I don't care. Either way, it's fucking brilliant. Whether or not, I don't even mind whether it was name first and then they created afterwards is brilliant. But but if they just went, we've got Lance Percival, was it?
Yeah, Lance Percival and Katie Boyle.
We've got Lance Percival and we've got Katie Boyle involved. It's amazing. And they're going to do a medical thing. What can we call it?
And someone went.
And then just that wonderful spark in someone's eyes where they go, guys, guys, I've got it.
This is the best idea I'm ever going to have in my
I've
whole
got
life.
it. It's going to be called Lance That Boyle.
And then it only lasts for 3 episodes. That person must have been devastated when that got cancelled. Like my life's work, and now it's cancelled. But there you go. That is, as you say.
Mate, that was brilliant.
I
what
love
a great
this
send-off
episode.
to Katie. Oh,
Yeah,
incredible.
there you go.
Loved it.
We do have... I have some making up to do, Isobel. As you know, and as we covered in the last episode, Sally from Australia was a little bit upset with me because...
Rightly so.
Yeah, rightly so, because she had written some lyrics to a song I had previously put forward this season, and then I just forgot about them, and I didn't do anything with them. So this week, in our final episode of the season, it makes perfect sense that last week we had someone entering an actual bloody song. Brilliant. This week we have a audience entered lyrics to some music or a song that I previously wrote. So we're going to listen to it, Isobel. And it does fall back on, and I think quite rightly, it falls back on what we spoke about at the start of this season. The title of this song, and the title that Sally gave it, is The Storm in Your Eyes. Sounds great. Should we have a listen?
Let's have a listen, mate.
Tonight, it's coming. Feel the sparks and current fly through the air. 'Cause tonight, blood's pumping as the wind begins to blow through our hair. I know the darkest clouds are massing above me, and the thunder's building up to a roar. Well, the hardest time is not yet behind me, but the darkest time comes before the dawn. Oh, we are on the edge, don't know what comes next, don't fall too far. We might come crashing down, smash into the ground. We might fly far, we might fall, we might fly. I'll see you, 'cause the storm's in your eyes. We are on the edge, don't know what comes next, don't fall too far. We might come crashing down, smash into the ground. We might fly far. We are on the edge, don't know what comes next, don't fall too far. We might come crashing down, smash into the ground. We might fly far.
There you go. That was the Storm in Your Eyes, written by Sally, performed by myself. Isobel, what do you think of the tone, the content of that song?
I'm really into it. I was really into that. That was great. That was a real good combo between the two of you. Yeah, that's like, I would say that is. I'm gonna be really honest.
Ooh.
I don't think it's a winning song.
No,
But-
I agree.
But I think that's solidly on the left side of the board.
Yeah, and you know, like I said tone because I think I like some of the lyrics, like the darkest clouds are massing above me and the storms are about to soar or something like that. Like it really make you feel something. They're really I don't know what the word is, but they're really great
Very
lyrics
emotive.
written by Sally. Emotive, yeah, it's great.
Very emotive. Sally, I'm into it. Sally, you've done a bloody great effort there. I think that's like, I think I really like it. I really like the lyric. I like the lyrics. I like the tone. I think that's a definite move in the right direction for us in terms of where we're taking our all-time greatest Eurovision song that we're creating as a
for
group.
sure. And I think it rounds up this season nicely. It's interesting actually because when initially I did this song, I sort of had Sweden's Benjamin Ingrosso's song in mind, that kind of very electro-y chorus and the quite high lyrics there. But having seen how badly that did with the public vote, I think maybe the music needs to shift a little bit to something else, something different, something a little bit unique.
Well, when you look at this year, when you look at the songs, I mean, we'll ignore Austria and Germany in this conversation because who knows how they did so well. Who knows? Yeah. He was very hunky, was Austria, but I mean, it wasn't
very strange.
But when you look at the top two, when you look at Fuego and at Toy, obviously Toy is so out there and fun and ridiculous and bizarre. That obviously was the reason why that stood out massively in comparison to every other song this year, and in terms of Eurovision in general. And was a really well put together pop song. I'll make comment now, actually. This is something I've seen over the last few days. Netherlands entry is being very derogatory about Netta and about Toy. But also, I mean, there's issue. He has issues with his Waylon. He needs to sort his shit out anyway, because just the whole Netherlands entry was very weird. It was discussed quite a lot on Saturday night in terms of
quite problematic, right?
Very problematic in terms of the white kind of like country rock band, and then just the black guys dancing.
Doing like weird crunking, but it felt
very odd. But he was being very rude about Netta after she won. Clearly a bit peed off that he's didn't do as well as he thought he would, it's a fantastic, like, fuck the haters, it's a fantastic pop song. It's like really fun, really ridiculous. And then Fuego, my god, that song should just be number one in every country. That absolutely. Is one of the best summer anthems we could have ever wished for. That is going to be on every summer playlist I put together.
And that's on yours and mine Eurovision playlist for now until forever, right? That's going to stay on there. Yeah.
Forever. That's one of the best Eurovision songs ever made. Absolutely
it's so good.
So I think we do need to up the stakes, I think, in terms of what we're putting in terms of the slot, like the actual like melody and the actual track itself. I think we need to go bigger and bolder.
Okay, well that sets us up very nicely for season 4. Can't believe we're on season 4 already of Europhoria. So as we said at the start, please give us an email if you're drunk, just email us. I feel like that should be, if you're feeling like you're drunk and going to text an ex, just give us an email instead.
Yeah, we're like a safe service.
Yeah, we are. That's europhoriapodcast@gmail.com.
Or you can tweet us at EuphoriaCast as well. Always love tweets from people. So as Roland said earlier, we are going to take a little bit of a break now, as is standard for us at the end of a series. So post Eurovision, we have a little bit of a break. Obviously, we want you to still, this is the point of the podcast, is Eurovision might be over, but it is not over. It's never over in our eyes. We will always talk about Eurovision. So we're going to have maybe a month off. I'm going on holiday on Saturday, so I need a little bit of time off of that anyway. I'm going to go to Sicily and I'm going to go to Rome. And I will let you all know how that goes in terms of my Italian speaking. But then we will be back with season 4, back with stories about the great glam and garish of Eurovision, obviously. And I would just like to end this series by saying, Roland, you're an absolute gem, as always. We've absolutely nailed this, doing this from 2 different continents. This has been wonderful. Really great. We can't do too many of these late ones. It's now 11:45 for me.
No, for sure.
Thank you to everyone who listens. You're absolute superstars, and you contact us and send us the most beautiful emails, and it's just really wonderful whenever someone new emails us who says that they've been listening, because it's so lovely to know that there is new people, but also when the regulars email us, also great that you're still there to chat to. Really amazing. And thirdly, thank you to anyone who came on Saturday night. There's a wonderful. You've not met. Have you met Christy before? Hannah's friend.
If I have, gorgeous. This is going to be awkward because
really gorgeous. You know if you met Christy.
I probably would
gorgeous.
Know.
So wonderful people came on Saturday, including Christy, who listens to the podcast. So I will say, Christy, you're an absolute angel. You are the most handsome man I've ever met. And it was really wonderful to have people there who listen and then came along, and this is just the most fun to do.
Me too. Okay.
Ditto.
But thank you all so much for listening, and we will be back at some point. We'll let you know. In the meantime, we love you. Bye.
Bye.